Push is a 2009 action sci-fi adventure that sees two young Americans with special abilities who are racing to find a girl in Hong Kong before a shadowy government organization called Division tries to stop them. Pop Tot, this was your choice. What did you think of the movie Push?
It's just, let's just say, I'll start off with saying it is just as forgetful today as it was then.
Yeah, it's a movie.
It's a movie. Yeah, it's a movie. I think there at the beginning there wasn't a great idea for world building on different telekinetic powers and this shadowy government thing.
Yeah.
The Nazis were conducting experiments in psychic warfare, trying to turn those with psychic abilities into soldiers.
I want to give a shout out to Dakota Fanning. I think she was probably the best part of this movie.
I completely agree.
It just completely overshadowed Chris Evans.
I already know you're here.
Pre-Captain America days. It just seems to me that the people that started this world building completely forgot what they were doing at the from the beginning to the end, because then they started kind of rewriting what these powers could do at the end.
Yeah.
Chris Evans is not hired, but he's recruited by this young girl, Dakota Fanning, to help her find her mom.
This is about us finding $6 million. That's us.
All of this is filmed, I believe almost all of it's filmed in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. And he's a down on luck guy. He's got pushing powers, and she's a watcher, which means she can see the future kind of sorta, and her mom was the watcher.
Who sent you?
Your mother. A week before she was captured by Division, she told me to be at that fish market today.
The Division, the bad guys had her hidden. So that's like the beginning, and then it's kind of forgotten because this girl on a subplot, she steals this vial of something the Division shoots her up with.
Yeah,
they kind of connect with her.
Yeah,
and then it's about to find the case, but her mind has been wiped, so they have to look for the case over Hong Kong. It gets so convoluted.
That's a lot of information to get in 30 seconds.
At the end of the movie, you find out that there's kind of like a Ocean's 11 kind of thing been going on the whole time, but they didn't let us know.
Yeah, right off the bat, the movie didn't do well. It has a 23 on Rotten Tomatoes. It made $10 million over its budget. It's pretty easy to see why. The initial world building, like you said, is pretty interesting, but world building is meaningless if you can't have a clear-cut narrative. And I cannot honestly 100% gun to my head tell you what the hell the movie is about.
Piece of shit.
This is probably the first time out of the Lost and Found movies that I have ever been so disinterested in one of them. Like, I mean, at least Stealth has a clear cut, bad guy AI.
I gotta go pee-pee.
This one, I have no idea what the hell the movie was about.
Yeah, because there's the Division, and then there's this Hong Kong gang, and then there's Chris Evans and Dakota Fanning's character with this girl, and it finds out him and the girl have this past, but then what's his name? Djimon. His bad guy character convinces her that he's worked with her all along, but you're not sure as the person that's viewing this.
After all, we were partners.
If that's true or not.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
It's almost like you're not in on it either, and so it's kind of left up until the very last scene of the movie.
What a waste.
By then, you've completely lost interest in this movie.
Yeah, Roger Ebert said it best. He said it has a vibrant cinematography, decent acting, but I'm blasted if I know what it's about. And that's the movie's not bad to look at. I mean, it's not overly pretty or anything like that, but some of the action scenes are decent. Some of the effects look pretty cool with the push powers and stuff, but I was so disinterested by what I was seeing. I couldn't get on board. They didn't do a very good job with Chris Evans' character. Hollywood was very interested in putting Chris Evans in every single superhero role. He did this, he did Losers, and he did Fantastic Four.
His powers didn't get fantastically great at the end. He was still getting his ass kicked all through the movie.
Yeah, Dakota Fanning 100% holds this movie up.
You don't believe that, do you?
Please. Don't make me do anything to myself.
I mean, there's a ton of talented people in this movie that you'll be like, oh, hey, I recognize that guy. Oh, hey, I recognize that guy.
Hounsou he wasn't even great in this role.
No.
It was a very, very two-dimensional bad guy for me.
Where were we?
Where were we?
And he had some sort of pusher with him. I don't even know if they gave that guy a name.
No, yeah, he was the guy that when they met in the restaurant, he was the one to oppose Chris Evans. They had a fight scene, and again, the fight scenes they're decent. It reminds me a lot, honestly, this movie does, of Bright, which came out on Netflix. Very oh, here's all this world building, but we cannot tell a cohesive, constructive plot whatsoever.
Piece of shit.
At one point, confusingly, you find out that a wiper hiding a skyscraper.
Yeah.
But they all knew where it was.
Yep.
And they all went to it twice in the movie, I believe.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
They had a point in the movie where they have all these different sides come together, and I'm just like, I don't know what the sides are doing. The motive they try to give Chris Evans is that he's a gambler and he keeps losing money, and so Dakota Fanning's trying to win him over with money in a suitcase, but there's no money, and then they find out pretty soon that there's no money, and so I'm like, I really don't understand what the driving force of every character is here.
There is side characters in this movie that actually were way more interesting.
Yep.
Than Chris Evans. Ming-Na Wen, she played a sniffer. Cliff Curtis, who's always he's played FBI agents and whatnot before. He plays a shifter, which would be a really cool power.
It's a little more round and shinier. That's it.
Ironically, my favorite scene in the movie was the one with Corey Stoll, who plays a sniffer, and he was in that series called The Strain a couple years ago. They can get into each other's heads, and certain ones, I forget what the Believers, or whatever they're called, and they can make you believe a complete lie. And so he ended up believing that he had a brother.
But he was murdered, and you know who did it, don't you?
And that the one agent killed his brother. And so he went and shot him, and he's like,
I remember growing up together, where we went to school.
I actually really liked that part.
That was the only time I laughed, is because he...
Asking because I don't want to be shot in the face for screwing some made-up sister you don't really have.
I don't have a sister?
Yeah, that was a great part.
Otherwise, I was really reaching for anything to be interested in the movie, and even for it being in Hong Kong, I don't really feel like they took very good use of it. I guess I don't know, I just didn't feel like I was wrapped in this Hong Kong atmosphere. As usual on Lost and Found, we decipher things by Lost. You just leave it to the streaming netherrealm, like Madam Web.
Piece of shit.
Or Found, you go seek it out before it's taken off the streaming thing, and that's why physical's better. Pop Tot, where are we putting Push?
Well, if I was in the world of Push, I would hire a wiper and have them wipe from my memory that I chose this movie. So it's not worth your time. It's just very generic. The plot is very flat. There are a million other movies around this time frame to watch.
You don't believe that, do you?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There are some cool elements here, but I think if you want something like this that's not superhero but is superhero, I think something like Chronicle's better. The movie's also almost 2 hours long, and it feels almost 3 hours long. There's no sense of pacing or editing whatsoever. The narrative structure is all over the place. So for all the cool little world building elements, it just seems entirely lost. And even with a super talented cast, it's not enough to win you over. And like I said, out of all the 16 or 17 episodes we've done, I would probably put this up there with Planet of the Apes in terms of just being kind of boring and dull and a bit lifeless. And so I think you're better off just finding something else to watch. Unfortunately, but hey, it happens. That's the fun of Lost and Found. So
right.
But as usual, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, that helps so much. Leave a comment and suggestions. Those all help so much as well. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Piece of shit.